This fitness blender lower body routine is specifically designed to tone and lift the buttocks. This lower body butt lifting routine requires an exercise mat and a dumbbell or some other weighted object. We're going to be doing 16 repetitions of 8 different exercises, and we're going to be going through 3 different rounds. Let's go ahead and get started with round number 1. Our first exercise is the crossover lunge. This is similar to a traditional lunge, but the motion is just slightly different. Get ready. And begin. You're going to start stepping forward just like you would with a normal lunge, but instead of going directly forward in front of that hip, you're actually going to step across in front of the other leg. That way it causes your inside and outside thigh to have to work much harder to help you keep your balance. Now keep in mind that as you're doing this motion, you want to try to keep your hips and your shoulders square, pointing straight forward in front of you along with your feet. So as you step across, you don't want to let those hips turn in the direction you're stepping. Also, all the rules of a traditional lunge apply. Make sure that when you step out, that knee doesn't go over top of that toe, and you're trying to evenly disperse your weight between the front and back leg. Alright, we're moving on to the next one. This is the deadlift. So go ahead and grab a dumbbell or some other kind of weighted object to hold up at your chest. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. This is done with almost a straight leg. You can let those knees bend if you need to, but try to keep them as straight as you can. Get a little extra stretch to that hamstring. You're going to keep your back perfectly flat. Actually feel like you're arching your chest forward a little bit. And you're going to tip forward as far as you can, as far as is comfortable, only hinging at those hips. Don't let that back round. You want to keep that back nice and flat. Just keep going over and over. Nice, slow, fluid range of motion as far down as you can. Keep those legs nice and straight. And then come straight back up over top of those hips. This is a great exercise to focus on that butt and also to get into those hamstrings. But keep in mind, the straighter you keep those legs, the more isolation you're going to get in that butt and the more lift you're going to get. We're almost done. This is your last repetition right here. And go ahead and let it relax. Drop that weight off to the side. Grab your mat, because we're going to be doing the Pilates kneeling rear leg raises next. We're doing 16 repetitions on each side. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. This one you're on your knees and your elbows. With that left leg out extended straight, you're going to lift it up as high as you possibly can. Back down and barely touch the ground with that toe. Make sure that knee stays perfectly straight the entire time. A nice tight squeeze at the top of that range of motion every single time. Really focus on squeezing that butt. Now when doing this exercise with lifting your left leg, it's common to have your hip of your right leg start to feel like it's cramping up on you a little bit. And that's generally because you're leaning too much weight back to your hips. So just lean a little bit further forward onto your elbows and a little bit more off to the left side. And that should let that right hip relax a little bit. We're almost done. We're going to switch off our 16 repetitions with 16 pulses here in just a second. So that leg's going to stay up the top. Go ahead and bend that knee, and you're just going to do a short little pulse at the very top of that range of motion just to burn that butt muscle out just a little bit more. And we're almost done, just a few more. And we're going to bring that knee down, bring that other leg up, fully extend it out backwards. We're going to do that regular leg lift first. Remember, knee perfectly straight, barely tapping that toe to the ground, and then lifting that leg as high as you possibly can, getting a really nice tight squeeze on that glute muscle. Also remember, if that left leg this time starts to cramp up, you're going to want to lean forward onto your elbows, onto that right side specifically. Just keep concentrating on that motion, making sure you're keeping that leg nice and straight. Nice, fluid, controlled motion. A tight squeeze to the top every single time. All right, we're almost done with our 16 leg raises, so now we're going to move on to those pulses in just a second. Remember, keep that leg up nice and high, bend that knee. Feel like you're trying to poke a hole in the ceiling with that foot. So really nice tight squeeze, the very top of that range of motion, really burn out those glute muscles. And we're almost done. And let it relax. All right, we're moving on to the double leg lifts next. You're going to be over on your back for this one, so go ahead and flip over, and those legs are going to start straight up above those hips. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, those legs start up straight up in the air, perfectly locked out. Nice and slow, drop them down towards the ground as low as you can control, only as low as you can control, and then slowly back up. So you want to really focus on your abdominal muscles on this one. You want to suck that belly button in nice and tight and press that lower back flat against that mat. If at any point that lower back starts to lift up off the mat, then it means you're dropping those legs too far. Those ab muscles are getting a little bit too weak. So make sure that you're only letting those legs drop out as far as you can control by keeping that lower back flat on that mat. Also, watch those hands. A lot of times with this exercise, you're going to want to put your hands underneath your butt, and all that does is take the effort away from your abdominal muscles. So you're not helping anything out by putting those hands underneath your butt. So you want them outside, laying on the ground somewhere away from your lower back. Just keep that motion going nice and slow under control. Keep those legs as straight as you can, and make sure you're keeping those lungs nice and open, breathing normally. And we're almost done. Really try to make these last few nice and clean. Drop those feet down. And there's your last one. Bring it back up and let it relax. All right, we're going to be working on that butt again for that next one on the Pilates shoulder bridge prep. This is the level 3 version of it, the hardest version of it. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. That left leg's going to come straight up above that hip. Push into that right heel and shove those hips up into the sky as high as you possibly can. Get a really nice tight squeeze through it. You're going to feel this in your butt and in that hamstring of that right leg. Like I said, this is the hardest version of it, so if you want it a little bit easier, you're going to bend that knee to a 90-degree angle or put both feet on the ground and use both legs at the same time. We're almost done. We're going to switch sides here in just a second. And there's your last one. Go ahead and switch those legs. That right leg's going to come straight up this time. Press into that left heel, shoving those hips up nice and high. That core should be tight the entire time. Breathing normally. Make sure you don't hold your breath. You should be either inhaling or exhaling the entire time. If you need a specific breathing pattern on this one, you're going to exhale as you press that leg up. Inhale as those hips drop back down towards the ground. We're almost done, just a few more. And here's your last repetition right here. Go ahead and let it drop and let it relax. All right, go ahead and stand up for this next one. It's a squat with a side leg raise. So we're not only going to get that butt and that hamstring and your quadriceps all at the same time, we're also going to get that outside thigh. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. So nice deep squat to traditional squat. You want to make sure that knee stays back behind that toe, all your weight in your heels. And every time you come up, you're going to alternate which leg you raise. But as you come up, you're going to switch all your weight onto one of those legs, and that opposite leg is going to come up out to the side as high as you can squeeze it. Make sure you don't kick that leg up. You want just a nice slow raise and squeeze, even pause at the top if you can. And then nice and slow, let it relax back down to the ground and go directly back into that squat. And we're almost done, just a few more. So one more on the other side. And go ahead and let it relax. All right, the next one is a calf raise. This is a traditional calf raise, and we're doing it with both feet. Might need a wall for stability, for support. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. So you're just going to press up on those toes as high as you possibly can, then back down flat against the ground, but don't let those calves completely relax. You want to keep just a little bit of gap underneath those heels. Now, preferably, you're going to either do this off of a staircase, off of a step on a staircase, or if you have like an aerobic step or something like that in your house, that's a great way to get an extra range of motion out of this. Will really, really help tone and develop those calf muscles a lot better than just doing it flat-footed like this. Just have a few more repetitions to go. Concentrate on getting a really nice tight squeeze at the top of that range of motion each time. Almost done. And there's your last one right here. And go ahead and let it relax. All right, this is our last exercise of this round. This is the jump squat. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. So drop down in that squat as low as you can. Try to get those thighs lower than parallel to the ground. And then you're going to jump as high as you possibly can, really pushing it up. This is a really good plyometric exercise for building and toning that butt. It really, really helps get that really nice round, high shape. Got a few more. And there's your last one. Go ahead and let it relax. If you need to, take a pause right here. Otherwise, we're going to start right back in with round 2. All right, we're starting back over with that crossover lunge first. Remember, just a little bit different motion than a traditional lunge. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Step forward, and you're going to step across in front of that back foot. Make sure those hips stay forward, those shoulders stay square. Just alternate each side. Remember those same rules for a traditional lunge apply. Make sure that knee doesn't come over front of that toe. Make sure you're evenly distributing your weight from front to back leg. Just keep that motion slow and controlled. The further you step out, the harder it's going to be. We're almost done, just a few more. And here's your last one. And go ahead and let it relax. Going to move on to the deadlifts next. Go ahead and grab that dumbbell or whatever weighted object you're going to be using. And get ready. And begin. Remember on this one, that back stays perfectly flat. Those knees can bend a little bit if you need to, but otherwise trying to keep those legs as straight as possible. All that motion comes from just that hip joint. You're just going to hinge at those hips, tip forward as far as you can, and come straight back up. Now keep concentrating on that form, nice, smooth, fluid motions. Trying to keep that back perfectly flat, and just keep it going. Almost done. Make sure that back's still nice and flat. This is your last one right here. Tip forward as far as you can and right back up. And let it relax. All right, down onto that mat for this next one. Onto your knees and elbows. This is for the Pilates kneeling rear leg raise. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember that weight evenly dispersed between those elbows and that knee. That left leg's out perfectly straight, lifting up as high as you possibly can. Get a nice tight squeeze to that butt. Then back down to the ground, barely tap that toe, and then right back up again. Just breathe normally, keep those lungs open, but make sure those abs are nice and tight. Just keep that motion going. All right, we're almost done with that lift here. We're going to switch over to that pulse. Knee bends, shove that toe up towards the ceiling as tight as you can. Nice, quick, short motion. Really tight squeeze on that butt. You have just a few more to do, and then we're going to switch legs. And go ahead and let that leg drop. We're going to extend that right leg out this time. Nice straight line through that leg. Lift it up as high as you can. Nice tight squeeze on that butt. And back down, barely touch, and back up again. Now just concentrate on that form with that nice, clean, fluid motion. Just keep it going. And we're almost done with this one. We're going to switch over to that pulse. Go ahead and bend that knee. Shove that toe up towards the ceiling, nice and tight. Squeeze that butt. Feel like you're trying to poke a hole in the ceiling. We're almost done, just a few more. And let it relax. All right, moving on to the double leg lift. Remember, those legs are starting straight up above those hips. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Drop those legs out straight down towards the ground. Remember, only go as far as you can without letting that lower back lift up off the ground. Keeping those abs pulled in nice and tight. Pulling that belly button down towards that spine. Shoving that lower back flat against that mat. Legs stay perfectly straight. Try to breathe normally. And watch those hands. Make sure those hands are not underneath your butt. You want them out to the side. Make those abs have to do all the work. Just keep that motion going nice and slow, under control. And this is your last one. Drop those legs down. Bring it right back up. And let it relax. All right, we're moving on to the Pilates shoulder bridge prep. This is the level 3 version with that leg fully extended, one leg at a time. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. That left leg comes up straight. Pressing into that right heel, shoving those hips up as high as you possibly can. Remember, keep those abs nice and tight. Keep those lungs open, breathing normally. Exhale as you press that leg up. Inhale as you drop back down towards that mat. Make sure you don't let it completely touch. You want a little bit of a hover. Just keep that motion going, smooth and under control. Only have a few more repetitions. Then we're going to switch those legs. It's your last one. Go and let those hips drop back down. Swap those legs. That right leg comes straight up this time. Pressing into that left heel. Shoving those hips up nice and high. Remember, keep watching that breathing. Make sure those hips don't completely touch the ground each time. Just keep that motion going nice and slow and under control. They're almost done. Just got one more. And go ahead and let it relax. All right, moving on to the next one. This is the squat with a side leg raise. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, nice traditional squat. Get down nice and low, knees back behind your toes. Then you're going to come up onto one leg and lift that opposite leg up and out to the side as high as you can. Right back down to that squat, and then come back up again, lifting the opposite leg. Just keep alternating back and forth. Remember, a nice tight squeeze at the top of that leg lift. You don't want to kick it up there. You want to just nicely squeeze it and raise it up. Then right back down to that squat as low as you can. Just keep that motion going, nice and slow, under control. Keep those lungs open, breathing normally. And we're almost done. Just got one more on the other side. Nice deep squat. Lift that leg. Last one. And let it relax. All right, moving on to the calf raises next. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, pressing up onto those toes as high as you possibly can, letting those heels drop down, but don't let them completely touch. Always keep that calf muscle engaged. Remember, if you have an aerobic step or perhaps a staircase in your home, it's a really good idea to use that instead. Get a little extra range of motion out of it. Really develops that calf muscle a lot better. Just keep that motion going nice and slow, under control. If this is way too easy for you, you can always switch to a single leg to make it a lot harder. And we're almost done. We have one more. Squeeze it nice and tight and let it relax. All right, this is our last exercise for round number 2, the squat jump. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, squat really nice and low. You're still trying to keep those knees back behind your toes, but power up through that jump as hard as you possibly can. That's where you're going to get the most out of this, is by pushing in that jump as hard as you possibly can every single time. You want to get really nice and low to get a lot of range of motion, but you want to really work on that jump. We're almost done. And that's your last one right there. Go ahead and let it relax. That's the end of round number 2. You can go ahead and pause it here if you need to. Otherwise, we're going to move right on to round number 3. All right, starting back over with the crossover lunge. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, step forward as if you were doing a traditional lunge, but instead of going straight forward, step across in front of that back foot. Make sure you're keeping those hips and those shoulders squared straight forward in front of you. You don't want to turn with that foot. You don't want to look those hips off towards the foot that you're stepping with. You want to keep those hips looking straight forward from where you started. All right, we're almost done. Got one more on the other side. And let it relax. All right, back over to that deadlift. Go ahead and grab that dumbbell or whatever else you're using for weight. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, that back is perfectly flat. Those knees can bend if you need to, but otherwise try to keep them as straight as you can. Remember, all that motion is just coming from that hip joint. You don't want to hinge at your lower back. You want to hinge only at that hip joint. Trying to keep that back perfectly flat the entire time. That way you're isolating that glute, that butt muscle. Just concentrate on that form, keeping that back flat, those legs as straight as you can. And a nice, slow, controlled motion down as far as is comfortable and straight back up again. Just concentrate on that form and just breathe nice and normal, trying to keep those lungs open the entire time. We're almost done. So our last one right here. Bring it straight back up and let it relax. All right, the next one is the Pilates kneeling rear leg raise. So down onto the mat for this one. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. That left leg's gonna be straight out back behind you. Knee perfectly straight. Barely tap that toe to the ground and then squeeze that leg up as high as you possibly can each time. Remember to concentrate on keeping those abs nice and tight. If that right hip starts cramping up on you, lean forward onto that left elbow. That should help out. Just keep that motion going nice and slow, under control. Keep those lungs open, breathing naturally. All right, we're almost done with those leg raises. We're going to switch over those pulses here in just a second. Go ahead and bend that knee, toe up towards the ceiling, really push it, nice tight squeeze, a little short range of motion at the very top. Just keep that motion going, really squeezing that butt. I'm going to switch those legs here in just a second. And go ahead and switch those legs out. And that right leg's going to go straight and lift it up as high as you possibly can. Keep that knee perfectly straight. Real tight squeeze that butt at the top. Barely tap that toe at the bottom. And right back up again. Make sure those abs are staying nice and tight. And here's your last repetition. Go ahead and bend that knee. We're going to move right into those pulses. Point that toe up towards the ceiling. Really push it up nice and tight at the top of that range of motion. Really burning out those glutes. Almost done. And let it relax. All right, we're moving on to the double leg raises next. Remember, you're starting with those legs directly over top of those hips. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Drop those legs down as far to the ground as you can control. Remember, trying to keep that lower back flat against that mat. Belly button pulled in. Watch those hands. Make sure they're not underneath that butt. Trying to get as much range of motion out of those legs as you can without letting that lower back lift up. Just keep those lungs open. Breathing normally. Exhale as those legs go down. Inhale as you bring them back up over top of those hips. Just keep that motion nice and slow, under control. And we're almost done. Just got a few more repetitions. Let those legs drop out nice and slow. This is your last one. Go ahead and bring it right back up. And let it relax. The next one is that Pilates shoulder bridge prep level 3. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Right foot down, left leg straight up above that hip. press into the heel of that right foot, really shove those hips up nice and high. Remember, keep those abs perfectly tight, sucking that belly button in the entire time. Exhale, pressing that leg up. Inhale as it drops back down. Just keep that motion going, nice and slow, under control. And we're almost done. One more repetition. And then let it relax. We're going to switch those legs. That right leg goes up this time. Press into that left heel, shove those hips right back up. Just keep that motion going, nice and slow, under control. Abs nice and tight. Pressing those hips up as high as you can, as tight as you can each time, and making sure they don't touch the ground, but as close to it as you can. And here's your last repetition right here. And let it relax. All right, moving on to the squat with a side leg raise. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember that nice deep squat each time. Lift that leg up as high as you can out to the side, alternating off to that other leg the next repetition. Remember that same rule applies with those squats. You want those knees back behind those toes, getting those thighs nice and low. Keep those lungs open, breathing normally. Concentrate on that form. Bring that leg up as high as you can, but not swinging it, not kicking it up there. You want just a nice, slow, controlled motion, a nice, controlled raise. And then back into that squat. And we're almost done. Just have one more on the other side. Lift that leg and let it relax. All right, find a wall. We're going to be doing our calf raises next. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. Remember, pressing up onto those toes as high as you possibly can each time. Letting those heels drop back down, but try to keep them hovering just a tiny bit off the ground. Trying to get as much range of motion out of as you can. Remember, if you have an aerobic step or a staircase at home, then use a step on that. Give you a little extra range of motion, letting that heel hang off the back side of it. And we're almost done. Just one more repetition. And let it relax. All right, this is our last one, the squat jumps. Really make this one count. Go ahead and get ready. And begin. You're a nice deep squat each time, jumping as hard as you possibly can. Trying to get as much air as you can, because the higher you jump, the harder you jump, the more you're going to get out of those thighs, those glutes, those hamstrings, and even those calves. We're almost done. Just a few more repetitions. Really push it. One more. And let it relax. Good job. You just completed Fitness Blender's natural Brazilian butt lift workout. Always get a good stretch and cool down after your workout. And don't forget to visit fitnessblender.com for more full-length workout videos.